I made a shushing gesture, afraid our conversation would disturb Uma's sleep. After sitting in the back seat, I answered softly, "This is my daughter." The assistant nodded and fell silent. When he drove to our destination, I was stunned. This hotel was where Orion and Melissa got married. 5 years of marriage, he held a wedding anniversary celebration every year, and personally selected gifts for Melissa. I thought, Orion really cherished Melissa. In previous years, he didn't allow me to enter their world. Inviting me back this year was probably just to let me witness their happiness. I numbly got out of the car and saw Melissa smiling as she walked towards me. Unlike my haggard appearance and simple clothes, Melissa wore expensive jewelry and perfume, looking well cared for by Orion. Melissa's smile suddenly froze. I knew she had seen Uma in my arms. Sure enough, when she came to my side, Melissa's expression was very surprised. "Yara, how did you secretly have a child abroad without telling me? I've been married to your uncle for so long, you still treat me like an outsider." Before I could speak, Melissa took Uma from my arms without asking. Uma woke up and immediately started crying, struggling not to let Melissa hold her. I took Uma back from Melissa and comforted her for a while. Actually, Melissa knew about my past crush on Orion. Returning this time, I didn't want to get too involved with Melissa. But Melissa still stubbornly wanted to hold Uma. When Melissa and I arrived at the hotel's private room, Uma was still crying and wanting me to hold her. Melissa forced a smile and handed Uma back to me. "Your uncle knows having children isn't easy. We haven't thought about having kids these past few years." Seeing you've had a daughter, I got too excited. There were already several people sitting in the room. I wasn't used to socializing, so I chose a corner seat, and Melissa sat down next to me. She enthusiastically linked arms with me, introducing me and Uma to the others. The looks others gave me were visibly teasing and probing. I couldn't stand the strange atmosphere here and said I wanted to go to the restroom. When I came back after washing my face, I heard Melissa's voice. Someone asked Melissa why she brought in an unlucky thing like me. What unlucky thing? Yara is Orion's sister. Although she went down the wrong path and tried to seduce Orion before, now that she's had a child, she definitely won't make mistakes again. Hearing Melissa say this, I just quietly stood at the door of the private room. Yes, in others' eyes, I was just a madwoman who tried to seduce her uncle, a shameless slut. Uma tugged at my clothes uneasily, and I comforted her before entering the room. Some things have to be faced eventually. I don't know how long passed, but suddenly everyone in the room stood up. "Mr. John is here." "Hello, Mr. John." A group of people crowded around him while I didn't move, just sitting in my seat. After a long time, I finally raised my head and looked at Orion. He seemed to have lost some weight. Orion wore a suit, with Melissa leaning on him. When they looked at each other, their eyes were full of smiles. Orion was surrounded by people and didn't notice me in the corner. All these years, he who should have been the center of attention still was, while the only one not doing well was me. Suddenly, Melissa seemed to remember something and pushed Orion with a smile. "Orion, Yara is here too. You uncle and niece haven't seen each other for so many years, catch up a bit." Yara even brought back a surprise. Hearing the word surprise, Orion remained unmoved, first helping Melissa sit down and ordering her a glass of milk before raising his eyes to look in my direction. Uma shrank into a ball, looking very wary. Orion obviously saw Uma too, his eyes widening suddenly. "Yara, what is this?" He was asking about Uma. I hadn't told them about Uma, so when they saw me with her, their expressions were all the same, either surprised or looking like they were watching a show. Melissa spoke for me. "Orion, this is Yara's daughter. Isn't she cute? She looks just like Yara and seems to be a few years old already." Orion's gaze fell on Uma, then on me, examining me for a while. Just when I thought Orion wouldn't pay attention to me anymore, he asked hoarsely, pointing at Uma, "During these years abroad, you got married and had a child?" I raised my head, looking directly at Orion, and nodded. "I got married a while ago. Sorry I didn't tell you."